So hi, thanks everyone for joining us, and thank you for the introduction. Yeah, we're excited to talk about the Esri GIS request management solution. So we represent we're with the City of Waukesha, Wisconsin. You can see us on the map there. We're a Milwaukee suburb of approximately 72,000 residents. We are the largest city in Waukesha County, the 7th largest city in Wisconsin, and have over 25 square miles of service area. A little trivia for everybody here today is that Waukesha is the birthplace of Les Paul, the inventor of the electric guitar. And I won't dwell on this too much because I'm sure that we're not unique, but I think it's important to talk a bit about GIS at our organization in order for you to understand our interest and use of the request management solution. So of a city workforce of over 500 city employees, full-time employees, we are the two full-time dedicated GIS staff members. And we work on GIS projects for every department. We have pretty well-established working relationships with 13 of 16 departments. And that ranges from we make a map for them once or twice a year to we're having conversations every day about their GIS needs. And we're becoming more visible in the organization. We have a GIS advisory group of 17 representatives from 11 different departments. We call the representatives champions, but we did not invent that term ourselves. We hold GIS Day events. You can see in one of the photos we set up in one of our conference rooms, and we invite our colleagues to join us and learn about projects that we've worked on, resources available to them that they may not know about. We have trivia, and we've gotten a lot of positive feedback on those events. And I want to note too that 3 of our department collaborations, so 3 of those 13, are relatively new within the last few years, either because these are new teams or because they're just departments we haven't really worked with in the past. And we're so grateful to have our colleagues be interested in GIS. But all of these things are good, but they're not without challenges. So we get a lot of phone calls and walk-ups, as I imagine many of you do. We have gotten questions from departments about whether their project is done when we were waiting for their input in order to move forward. We have gotten vague requests, and we just are finding that we need to change what we're doing in order to keep up with the interest in GIS that there is while maintaining a high level of service. So we need to be doing something different, and that encompasses everything from how we process and manage requests to how we share out project deliverables. We send links out to our colleagues, and then I really sympathize. Links are hard to keep track of, so that's been a challenge. And we've also kind of struggled to communicate both our successes and our challenges in a way that's more than just anecdotal. We can talk about how it seems like we're really busy, but it's challenging to not be able to actually quantify that. You can see a couple of graphics just showing our GIS users and resources by year. And we know that something needs to change. And we looked at a few options, everything from ticketing softwares to project management softwares, and we ended up with a bit of a Goldilocks problem. There were some softwares that were really designed for tasks where you open a ticket and then there's not much collaboration. There's just something that you need to accomplish, and then it's done. Then you also see full project management softwares that are just designed for a very different scale of the work than what we're doing. And so we needed something kind of in between those. And then a couple additional requirements were that we needed something available to all employees. We didn't want to take on any additional licensing responsibilities. And we wanted it to be pretty low effort to submit requests. We didn't want to discourage anyone from asking us for things because they had to fill out a form or they didn't know how to fill out the form. So we wanted it to be approachable. And that's kind of how we ended up at the Esri request management solution, because we were not the only GIS program struggling with this. We were so happy in fall of 2023 when we saw the GIS department management solution show up on the Esri roadmap. And then after reaching out to Esri, we were able to participate in the external stakeholders group that was developing the solution. It was a great experience, but it felt like such a long time because we were so excited to finally get to use what they were working on. The solution was formally released in last summer of 2024, and we've been using it kind of among our team ever since. And we've also taken the last kind of 6 to 8 months to rebrand parts of it, take the layers used in the solution and plug them into other applications or dashboards. And so we've kind of reworked it into something that we're calling GeoHub, that we've introduced to our GIS champions recently. We're going to talk about it more in a few moments, and then we'll be formally introducing it to the rest of our colleagues later this spring. And we do want to talk briefly about deploying solutions. I don't know if many people in the room have deployed Esri solutions. We've used a couple, and we've had a good experience, but it's always a little bit stressful because, as you can see here, this is from the Esri solution documentation. The Solutions app creates all of the ArcGIS items included in the solution and adds them to a new folder in your content. And one thing I want to emphasize here is that your content is whoever the logged in user is. So if you have an admin account that you're logged into or like a specific user account that you're logged into, just think about which account you want the solution to be under. And then after that, it's really as simple as clicking deploy now. We've found that there are a couple of options for things that you can click on. You can click deploy now, you can click learn more. Learn more is usually like a video or some type of additional information. Deploy now will give you the solution.
Deploy now means deploy now.
Yes,
when
it does.
When you click that button, it will deploy.
It will deploy, yes. So, onto the request management solution. You'll see here, this is from the data products list of the solution. You can find this on the Esri Solutions page. You'll see you get all kinds of things. You get a hub site, you get Survey 123 forms, you get Experience Builder applications, you get dashboards. Yeah. And with that,
all right,
I'll turn it over to you.
I get the task of doing a live demo, and if it crashes, I don't have a hand that I can grab the error off of the screen, so we'll see how this goes. What's that? Yeah, exactly. We're a little bit into the weeds in terms of talking about the contents of the solution itself, but I think it's important because if you're deploying it, you're going to get some things out of the box, and what we're demoing is a little bit different, but it's just a modification of what's been deployed with the solution. So I'm going to try to go back and relate what you were seeing with what you would get when you deploy this. So I'm going to go to the solutions content. This is in our ArcGIS Online environment. This page is created when you deploy the solution, and you'll see this, the solution contents relates back to the information products that Megan just showed. So the names are a little different here because we've changed this, we've rebranded it. What GeoHub is would actually be called the GIS Service Center. And you can see within each of these components of the solution, the subcomponents. So it's not just creating 4 things, it's actually creating kind of 4 applications, and then within those it's using these data products, some of which are used in more than one. So the GIS Request Management Center is a, experience, but it's also using some of the same layers that are within GeoHub or the Service Center. There's also a request satisfaction survey that could be important if you have customers and you need to really rate your service. Maybe not as important in your organization. And also things like My GIS Activities, which would allow technicians to see what's been assigned to them. We're not using this so much yet, just because there's only 2 of us, but if you had a larger GIS staff, it might be helpful to kind of break that up. So that's just what you get out of the box. I'm going to pivot now into a demo of GeoHub, or the Service Center. Yes, I am signed in. Okay. So this is what our GeoHub homepage looks like, and I'm logged in as an administrator. So we've made some changes to this where we've added additional pages, and these pages are only visible to users depending on their group membership. So if you're not an admin, you wouldn't see all the departments in the city. You would just see a couple of these things. The closest analog to what the GIS Service Center page is out of the box is what we've rebranded as our About page. So if you deploy this, it'll give you kind of a framework to fill out information about your GIS program, your goals. Megan has done a great job using Calcite, which we just heard about, to kind of make these attractive elements to this page. And really this is so that people in the organization can learn about GIS. They can find their champions for their department, and then they can see the work that we're doing, and this is all linked up to the request management part of the solution. So just to go through the other pages that everyone sees in GeoHub, just a quick shout out to, I don't see Sun Prairie here, but I know they're using the same term, GeoHub. It's funny hearing John Nelson talk about naming things, because we actually had like a workshopping session of what do we want to call this, and I don't know, we came back to GeoHub. So you could call it whatever you want. We just want it to make sense for our users at the city. So if they log in and they're not a GIS user, ArcGIS Online will create an account for them. They'll join a default membership group, and they will see this homepage. And this will be a link to basically our standard applications, maps, and data. If they want to request additional access, they can do that by filling out a Survey 123 form. This was originally called something else. It was request account. So if you don't have accounts automatically made, users can request them here. They'll see My Apps. This is overloading because I'm an admin, but if you're a user from one department, you'll just see the apps that are assigned that you have access to see. And similarly, I'm going to skip over these two request ones. If I go to, let's say, Department of Public Works, all these department pages look pretty much the same, except they have the content for that department. So that way, if a department member logs in, but they don't see My Apps, they can go into the department and find those apps. And we also have information from the request management solution in here at the bottom of each department. So you can see what that department has requested and the status of those things. So that's kind of how this looks for an admin. Right now I'm going to log out of here. I'm going to log back in as a user, and I'm going to actually submit a request to the request management solution. Ah, cool. Okay, here we go. So you'll see there's a lot less information available, but you still see My Apps, My Requests, and About. So I'm going to go to My Requests. This is kind of the end user access to the request management solution. They can, again, request additional access. They can submit a request. If they've placed requests, they'll see them here. So I'm going to submit a new request, and this will open up Survey 123 form. This all comes pre-configured, but you can obviously change all the options in here. So for this category, I'm going to say request category, mapping and analysis. Request type, I'll say design and develop a new mapping application. I'm going to call this mapping application to track sewer backups. This subject line is something that we added because by default, it'll list everything by a detailed description, which is a little cumbersome. So this is kind of like a title for the request. I'm going to say we'd like to map sewer backup complaints and publish to the public. The person that's filling this out can add additional information. They should say what department they're from. So I'll say this is Public Works. If they know a planned start date and a planned end date or have a time frame in mind, that can be put in along with effort and hours. These can be made required or optional depending on what you'd like. I'm going to say this will take 8 hours. And right now I'm just going to leave the status as submitted, and I'll come back to this now through the administrator side. So they click submit, and if I go back to my requests, we'll see this, we would see this pop up here. I've done the same test one a couple of times, but, oh, I know why. It's not assigned to this user. So I'm going to log out here and then log back in as an admin. So now I'm going to go into the request management part of this, which is why you're all here. So this is an experience builder app. This is mostly what it looks like out of the box. We've just made some cosmetic changes. I'm going to click on the new requests button here, which will take us to the kind of master list of requests. Oh, come on. Cool. So here we see this submitted today, mapping application, Public Works. You can see the status of everything in here. There's all sorts of filters you can use. In order to update this request, I'm going to click on it, and it'll pop up over here. You can see the details. You can see its status. So I am going to click on update. I think I am. Yeah, I'll wait, I guess. I'm going to reload this. Well, I'm going to keep talking while I'm waiting for this to load. So you can go in and update it through the application, and if you're a technician working on it, you can change the status. You can add things like comments, and those are added as essentially related records. You can upload documents. You can assign it to other people, all of which I'll show you momentarily if I get the option to. Switch browsers here.
While that's loading, maybe I'll chime in for a moment.
Thank you.
That's okay? Of course. So, of course, you don't see it on the screen now, but if you think back to a couple moments ago when there was that list of projects, those are things that, this time last year would have been, notes we'd written down at our desks, phone calls, emails, and they were not, didn't have like standardized information, weren't all in the same place. And so one thing that we've found helpful so far is just having a single list of all of these, of everything that we need to be paying attention to.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
I'll show the update window as it's attempting to load. This is just updating the Survey 123 entry. You can change the category, you can change anything in here. Boy, you can upload files. One of the things that you can also set is the customer information. So that way, if you set the customer correctly, it'll show up in my requests for that person when they log in. Well, that's spinning. There's also a section here called Goals and Capabilities. And this is kind of going back to what Megan talked about quantifying the work that you're doing and how it either is working towards one of your organization's goals or maybe not. So they have a tab that they call Insights. We've rebranded it as Analyze. And there's a really cool couple of dashboards in there that I'd love to show you. But I'm going to have to wait for it to load. I'll give this one more shot here. Otherwise, you might have to find us later. And I promise, I did look at this 20 minutes ago. It loaded just fine. Okay, so here's one of them. You can analyze your projects. You can set up all these categories to see what kind of work you're doing or what type of work you're doing, which department it's assigned to, or how many requests you're getting from one department. So if there's one department that's really bogging you down, you can say at the end of the year that, like, hey, maybe they need their own GIS resources or something like that. And this has the receipts to back you up, basically. You can also look at things like goals. So if you really are trying to work towards using applications rather than paper maps, you can set those goals in the request, and then when it's completed, you would see those kind of in the statistics. Does that all make sense? I don't know if I'm going to go back to try to update the request, unless it magically wants to work in here, but it's not looking like it is. So let me just go back to the presentation. Okay, we've talked about, I didn't talk about the satisfaction survey, but that's something else you can see, is a statistic of how your satisfaction is. Oh, thank you. All right, I'm going to give it back to Megan here for the summary.
Okay, this is working. So we are really happy about being able to provide our colleagues with a single accessible resource for like all of the maps and applications that we provide. And it's not just our flagship maps and apps, it's things that they have requested or things that they work with a lot. So we're really happy about kind of improving that for end users. And we're also really happy about being able to share our ArcGIS online content in a way that kind of gets rid of this responsibility of needing to keep track of links in emails or bookmarks, or having to go to ArcGIS online and search through all of the content that's there for, an application that somebody may not know the name of. So we're really, really happy about being able to improve that end user experience. And we're also so happy that we've been able to organize all of our phone calls, emails, notes, walk-ups into a single coherent and comprehensive list of what we need to be doing. That's been incredibly helpful for us so far. And that said, we are, of course, looking ahead to some things that we might want to work on in the future. Something close to the top of that list is going to be integrating the request management solution with Microsoft and using Flow or Power Automate to connect the Survey 123 form to a user's email, so we can send them kind of a summary of the request that they'd sent us. We can send them emails or Teams messages when we've made updates in the Updates tab. And we're also starting to use the ArcGIS for Excel plugin in our organization. So we're starting to think about, we have some data that we need to fill in, particularly related to our organization and program goals. So we want to think about editing through that interface rather than sending in a bunch of Survey 123 forms. So, yeah.
Thank you for bearing with the technical difficulties.
Yes. Thank you for joining us.
Yes. And, feel free to click that deploy button and just start using it.
Yes.
We do have 1 or 2 minutes for questions if anybody has a question.
Yes.
Are you still getting walk-ups then? And if you do you just like create a request right there at your own desk then, or are you only accepting it through the online portal?
I mean, I wish we could tell people to not walk up, but we can't really do that. I think that's why, like, a big part of this will be being able to submit it on behalf of somebody and then have them get notified that, like, they placed a request, so that they know that they can't, you know, weasel out of making a request just by coming to us. It's still going to be tracked and assigned to them. So yeah, I think in the short term, we'll still take walk-ups. We'll try to encourage, like, okay, great, go back and fill out this form and put those details in there, because I don't remember anything that anybody tells me when they walk up. They should write it down. So, yeah. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Thanks. I'm sure you're getting, or you will get a lot more requests now. How do you handle like the capacity and when you might have to say you just can't work on something? Like, how do you filter those kind of requests out?
Well, I think that's kind of the struggle we're facing as an organization, and that's how I didn't get a chance to show. There's also a part of this that's kind of like a Gantt chart where it shows like planning out the projects. And, you know, if you're showing that you have to plan projects out, you know, 6 months to a year, that's when you really need to get leadership involved or these champions to say, hey, there's a real problem here. What are we going to do about this? Is it training more people in departments? Is it getting additional staff? You know, I think this is a tool to help affect that change in the long run. So I don't know that it really answered your question, but I'm hoping we'll use it to help answer it.
Anybody else? All right. Thank you, Megan and Brad,
Thank
once
you.
again.